beginning of the fight, he stays in an orthodox stance, with his guard like this. This is pretty standard for karate. We don't really see his foot positioning, but I think it's safe to assume it's something similar to a back stance. Now, the initial part of this fight actually isn't karate, it's boxing because the hobgoblin swings and he slips under it. But we do see him throwing hits in the form of a vertical fist and a knee. Now, but the thing is, neither of these are the karate versions. The way he throws the knee looks more Muay Thai to me than karate. And the vertical fist, the way he does it there, it looks more like Wing Chun. But both techniques do exist in karate. This could just be his preferred way of throwing. Now, most of the fight, he's just using footwork and head movement to avoid getting hit. But the first real attack we actually see him do that does some level of damage is a high kick. Now, based on the way the positioning of his hips were, it's pretty easy to assume that it was a roundhouse kick. But again, because of the hip positioning, it looks more like a Muay Thai style roundhouse kick. But that's the karate variant. The Muay Thai is like that. Try not to hit anything. But it could still be the karate variant, just slightly changed. And I could be wrong in just from determining the pictures. Now after that, the hobgoblin grabs onto him and bites a chunk out of his shoulder. So what he does is he jams one of his fingers into the hobgoblin's ear, and then he gets hit. Slams into a tree, and that finger is backwards at that point. So personally, I don't think this was a good idea. I mean, the thing's eyes were right there. Why go for the ear? But after that, what he does is, since he's almost unconscious, he starts chewing on some chili peppers to keep himself from conscious. When hobgoblin attacks, he spits it in its eyes, dodges an attack, and then finishes it off with a combination of a 12-6 elbow and a knee strike. It looks like this. Going for the top of the head and the bottom of the chin. And while the goblins do have their weak spots in different places, it's safe to assume that is still a brutal attack. But also it still looks like Muay Thai. So, all in all, this fight scene, it was a decent fight scene. But as far as from a karate perspective, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. We saw good footwork, but the head movement was boxing, and most of the techniques, I couldn't tell if they were actually karate. So, that's it for this fight scene. Let's move on to the next. So, second fight scene. This happens later, a fair bit later, after he sneaks back into the village to rescue, the apothecary that was treating him. Because she was being held hostage by the villagers. So, the fight starts with him, kicking a guy through the goal. And for this, he uses a side kick. Which makes sense, it's the hardest kick in karate. So, no problems there. After that, he steps out of the building, is immediately surrounded by people with weapons. Bad situation no matter who you are, especially since pretty much all of the weapons there are bladed. So, he analyzes every one of the opponents, sees that clearly none of them are actually trained to fight, and most of them are just using farm equipment. So he naturally goes for the most well-equipped person there, which is a guy with a shield. So what he does is, in order to make sure that his move doesn't get blocked, he throws this. A question mark kick. Well, he says it's a Brazilian kick, but I've never really got why it was called that. So, he fakes slump, goes high, lands a head kick. Then, after that, the guy comes up from behind him. So what he does is, This move probably looks familiar to most people who know karate. It's the same thing you see whenever anyone's throwing punches like this. It's called hikite. Yeah, basically, it's a reverse elbow. It's generally used just for chambering the arm, but he also adds power into it with his other hand. And from that, we don't see how he does it, but he throws the guy over his shoulder. Now, what I think he does here is actually not karate, but what I think he did was a fireman's carry. It's where you drop down to one knee, put one arm between the guy's legs, grab it up high, lift and twist. And then you flip the guy over your shoulder. You'll understand why I think he used this move later. After that, a guy comes at him with a spear. Now, spear guy comes, thrusts at him, so he sidesteps and grips it. Grips the spear with both hands. So this is actually a good move, because since he has both hands gripping on the spear, he has leverage to use against the spear guy. He can't actually both. So he has two choices: one, fight for control of the spear again, or two, let go. And unless he has another weapon on him, which he probably doesn't, given how how poorly equipped everyone else was, he most likely doesn't. Is most likely going to fight for the spear. So what he does is he lets go while the guy's pulling back, causing him to stumble backwards and have to regain his balance. But the second he does, he catches an Oizuki to the face. Personally, I don't think this was the smartest thing to do. He has both control in both hands, on the spear. Guy's right there. But if he lets go, there's no guarantee that he's going to stumble backwards. And we've seen, so what I think the smart thing to do would be side kick. Because we've seen that this guy has powerful kicks. It's more of a guarantee than than just trusting him to fall over when you let go. So, with that being said, that's it for this fight scene. So let's get to the next one. Okay, so for the final fight, after he beats down the rest of the village, the rest of the villagers that come to the fight, he has to deal with a knight who's taken residence in the village. He immediately realizes that he's probably screwed, because this person's trained, has a full suit of plate armor on, and has a sword. So that is not good. So he panics but calms himself and analyzes the opponent, and is able to tell from his stance that he has a bad knee. So what he does is, the guy leans with a forward thrust of his sword. So he sidesteps again with the boxing head movement, and ends up getting cut on the neck. But if he didn't do that, he would get impaled on the sword. However, it did almost hit something vital, because the neck is what has more vital areas than any other spot on the body. But what he goes into after that is he shoots down to the ground and goes into an Oreshi-garami, which is just Japanese for leg entanglement. It's a pretty vague term. He then uses that to bring him down. Go into a heel hook, snap the guy's knee, transition to back control, and then breaks his neck. Now, I don't think I have to explain that that is not karate. That is quite clearly jiu-jitsu. Karate does have grappling, throws, takedowns, joint locks, but none of that is in karate, at least as far as I know. So, but overall, that was a smart thing to do. Take advantage of the weakness that he has, because he's covered in plate armor. Striking wasn't going to do much here. I mean, he could kick, yes, but certain kicks would not be a good idea, because I'm pretty sure this guy isn't Kyokushin, so things like the roundhouse kick would most definitely hurt his feet. When I say hurt, I mean things would break. So overall, it was a smart decision, and luckily, the manga actually outright says that he doesn't just do karate, he does various martial arts. Which means, as far as karate goes, this fight is pretty much a 1 out of 10, but it's a decent fight scene. He was smart to do this, so that's it for that scene. So, yeah, that being said, that's the end of the video. Be sure to check out Karate Survivor in Another World. Yeah, Volume 4 is going to be coming out sometime in January, so be sure to check it out. Thank you all very much for watching. This is Random Man, signing off.